All right. Do you want to go first or you want me to? Okay. All right. Well, for those of you guys who don't know me or we've never met, I'm glad that so many of you are getting on. If you're on now and you don't see your team members on, shoot them a quick text or a message and be like, hey, this is going to be awesome. So we love to have everyone here so we can see your faces and connect, because that's what makes us better too. I have been with Scentsy since fall of 2008. I am a superstar director and just moved to Texas last summer. So I luckily, Christy and Rebecca both invited me over. Was that last summer? Was it like August?
Was it Miriam? When was that we did that?
I don't know. I think it was warm. So
wasn't it like August or something?
I had just gotten here, so it wasn't long after I got here, but I'm so lucky to have connected with so many great leaders in this area and have been able to stick together and kind of just learn and grow together, and such a blessing. So for those of you who are on my team and haven't met Rebecca and Christy, I just want them to introduce themselves really quick so you guys know who you're listening to tonight.
Okay, Christy's sitting there, so I guess I'll go first.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Murdoch, and I've always been in the Fort Worth area since I started my business back in the fall of 2009, and I'm a star director. My team's the Wickless crew. I see some of you on here, so glad you're here.
Yay! I'm Christy Howard. I am a star director, and I also am in the Fort Worth area. And I am actually Rebecca's granddaughter. I just have to get it out there because she looks older that way. And I'm just super excited that we have a way to connect with people throughout the entire country. And it's great to see all these new faces on here. It's super exciting. We have such an exciting time with Scentsy coming up, and the energy level is awesome, you guys. So, and I have to give a special shout out to my niece, Harper Lou, Mastiff Puppy Extraordinaire. Harper Lou, hello. So she is a great consultant. So
you've got a niece behind me too. I don't know.
Oh, I didn't see Paige.
She's sleeping.
Hi, Paige. Harper Lulu. So welcome everybody. We're excited to have you.
All right, well, I think we're going to get right into tonight's topic. Aspen is taking the lead on this. I'm going to go ahead and start the PowerPoint.
All right, awesome. So just a heads up, there is a question and comment box, right? Is that right, Rebecca?
Yes.
So if you have questions or if you think of something while we're talking, make sure and type that in there or jot it down on a piece of paper. We will have time for questions at the end, but we do have a lot of ground to cover. So we want to get started. For those, if you have team members that come on late, that's okay. Like Rebecca said, we are recording it, but we love for you guys to get on live because we want to see your faces. We want to be able to talk to you and connect with you, as I said before. So setting up for summer success. As you guys know, every destination has a map, and there's an easy way to get somewhere and there's a hard way to get somewhere. So the better we plan out whatever journey we're on, the better we perform. We can, and some of you guys have heard me say this before, but you can go, wherever you live, you can go to the ocean, but there's always a shorter way to get there. So from where I live, if I head south, that's the closest way. I can also head north, northeast and get there, but it's going to take me a whole lot longer. So the better we plan, the quicker we get somewhere and the more efficient we are. We can't wing it to success, especially in this business. You have to be able to have a plan. You have to be able to know you're going, where you're going, and you have to know what you're going to do to get there. So I'm going to kind of go over a few things on the screen, and then I'll pass it over to Rebecca and Christy so that they can chime in. They have such great ideas that I want them to share with you too. So bookings lead to bookings. What am I talking about here? So if you have 0 parties right now, first of all, that's okay. There's still time. And second of all, there's not going to be some sort of miracle booking bonanza or frenzy between now and summertime, and you have to know that. The only way that's going to happen, the only way you're going to have a successful summer is if you start working right now on bookings. So if you feel like, I know a lot of you right now are saying, I don't have any parties and I don't know how to book parties. That's what we're going to share with you. So what I'd like to do is share with you a couple of my booking ideas, and then I'll toss it over to Christy and Rebecca to share some of their booking ideas. I know Rebecca is in a party booking craziness right now, especially from what we heard from her at our last meeting. So I would love to hear how she's booking off of bookings and then booking new parties. So like I said before, I just moved. And so right now, my biggest focus is growing my customer base. And so how do you get bookings if you don't know anybody? You have to continue to reach out to brand new people all the time, no matter how scary it is. And it's scary, still it's scary. Even after 8.5 years, it's still scary. So yes, it gets easier, but it's just something you have to force yourself to do. So no matter how many times or how many years you do this, it's always going to be in the back of your head like it would be easier not to. But you have to plan and you have to make it if you're going to succeed. So what am I doing to get bookings? As I reach out to people, I plant seeds with them. I suggest to them, hey, have you ever thought about getting a party? Anytime somebody says something to me about wanting something they can't afford, I suggest that they should be a hostess. Every time I hand out a sample, I try and hand out a hostess brochure. And follow-up is key when it comes to this business, also in booking parties. So what do you guys have to add? What kind of ideas do you have on how to book parties?
I agree with the when somebody, because it never fails, you have those customers that are either constantly spending full price, orders with you, or they want something that they can't afford. So offering is so important because the answer is always no until you ask. So what I like to do, especially if I've got customers that are coming, every month, or I'm meeting with them every month or twice a month, I'll look up and I'll say, why are you going to let me spoil you and give you some free and half price goodies? And usually they're like, what? Huh? And that's my intro. It's simple, it's easy, and it's about them. It makes it about them. Instead of saying, when are you going to book a party with me? Or, I've made it about them. When are you going to let me spoil you? That's my one nugget. Christy?
I think that sometimes I find that people feel that when you tell them, hey, do you want to book a party with me? Do you want to earn half off and free stuff? Sometimes that gets intimidating and it sounds like a lot of work, and it sounds like people that they don't want to necessarily, my friends aren't going to want to come. They're not going to want to do this. Parties are boring. So I try to make it less intimidating and try to make it more about them getting together with their friends and just having some fun. So it doesn't have to be a bunch of people. It's like, hey, get 2 or 3 friends and see if they want to bring a friend with them, and make it non-intimidating. I think that's something that we focus so much on, party, and from years past, we've all been to those horrific home parties that you just want to rip your eyeballs out. And I think that our parties are becoming fun. We have so many new products. So I think that just focusing on making it non-intimidating to them and making them fun, simple, and they don't have to be huge. They don't have to have their entire neighborhood there, or else it's going to stink. Some of my best parties have been 2 or 3 people, and those, turn into multiple parties from there on out. So I'd say make it non-intimidating.
That's awesome. One that just reminded me, I don't know if some of you guys listened to the training. I think it was the Tuesday before last, the Tuesday training that Scentsy did. And I'm horrible with names, so I don't remember the girl that said it, but she started booking, but not by not calling them parties. So come up with new ideas. I mean, you can call it, let's have a spa day and just introduce the skin line. You can say, let's have I'll come clean your house day. You invite your friends and I'll clean your kitchen. You can do things like that without saying, do you want to book a party? Because there's certain things that's just like, to me, that feels the same way as when somebody adds me to a group on Facebook. it has that negative connotation to it. Like, do you want to book a party? Like, all of a sudden in my head, I'm cleaning the house, I'm making food, I'm inviting people, I'm working hard, and like, it's just too much work. So change it into something fun. Come up with new ideas. Come up with things that work for people. And that's the best way to get booking, whether you call it a party or not, is turn it into something that people haven't heard over and over and over again. Make it something new. Make it something that interests them. So
I love that. And I think that some of the ideas that I've seen out are like a sip and sniff. Maybe you get together and you do a wine taste, some wine or mimosas. And so you're sniffing while you're sipping. And gosh, it sounds like I've been sipping a little too much. Can't even say it. And then also, I think moms and muffins, some weekday mom parties where you can always print out we have some really cool coloring sheets on the website, on our workstation that you can print out and have a little table for the kids to color or craft activity for them and make it simple. It's moms and muffins. They come over and that's a great daytime party for anybody that's a stay-at-home mom or has a day off or.
And that kind of reminds me too, like sometimes you get, you have a few objections and they'll say, I don't have the space in my house, or gosh, my house is a wreck. I can't even think about that right now. I always offer to do it in my home. It's easier for me because I don't have to go anywhere. So if you have enough room, offer to do it in your own home, and that makes it easier for them too. And I have hosted parties or provided the home to host parties here. And I've in the last season, I probably did 3 of them here at the house. So, that's an option.
yeah. Well, and before it gets too hot out here, wherever you are, if it works, there's always, you can go to a park. You can go get brunch at a restaurant or hang out at a table and do it right there at the restaurant. You don't have to have a formal space, whatever.
Starbucks right now. Starbucks are starting to let you reserve tables there now, even. I know our Starbucks up by us, you can reserve their big table for people, and you don't know what other customers are going to be like, hey, what are they doing? And, oh, I need Scentsy. So
definitely.
Well.
All right, so let's move on to planting spring seeds. And this is where we talk about sponsoring, because anytime you're going to grow your business, we're going to talk about bookings and sponsoring, because I know that, okay, so I'm not a salesperson and I'm also not a professional recruiter, but the only way to be successful in this business is to sell Scentsy and grow a team. So that's the bottom line, right? So when I talk about planting seeds, it just means actively inviting people to share the opportunity. And like I said before, it's always scary to approach people. And normally when you speak to people, it's new people about joining or about the opportunity, and something triggers inside that, hey, they'd be great at this, or that they need to do this financially. A million different reasons can trigger that thought in your head, but whatever it is, make sure that you're continuing to offer. And if you get that thought in the back of your head that, hey, I'm inconveniencing them, or they already have a great job, why would they want to do what I do? You have to stop that and always look at offering this business as an opportunity, and the fact that it can change anybody's lives, from someone with a bachelor's degree to a doctorate to a professional career. All of those people are a part of Scentsy, and you have to know that you can change anybody's life. So don't make a decision for people before you ask them. And so the seeds you plant now, even though they may say, I'm not interested or not right now, make sure you're keeping track of that, because this summer you can follow up again and those seeds may turn into someone joining your team. So what kind of ideas do you guys have for approaching people about joining?
It's mainly, for me, it's listening for the clues. If somebody is a stay-at-home mom and they have their kids all day long and sometimes they just need some adult time, that's an indicator. So just listening for little clues. If somebody is thinking about leaving their job and they haven't found another job to replace it, that's a clue. Or if somebody has a really serious job, like, I have a really serious job and I work in the mental health field, and Scentsy is my happy place. It's my happy job. It's my fun thing to do. And don't discount somebody that you think may not need the money. It's not always about money. Christy's a prime example of that. She joined to raise money for charity. And it's not like she needed the extra income. You know, she was a successful business owner already. So don't make the decision for them. Offer it to everybody.
I think that is great advice. And I get to use this as social, but I mean, we have doctors, lawyers, everything on our team. You just don't know what people, where they are in their life, and don't prejudge. Don't say no for them. That's not your responsibility to say no. I found, and it's such a cliche, but it actually works, is I just ask. And sometimes, I mean, I have somebody that has never bought Scentsy from me before, has always seen it. I send samples, and, you know, they posted something about how they needed extra money or something. And I said, you know, Mel Robbins 54321, and I sent an email out and I said, hey, you know, Scentsy, it can change lives, and what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And she actually said, I see your post. I watch what you post. You seem to have fun. It's so positive. You're helping others. I want to be a part of that. And she is rocking her business now. And that's somebody that has been in the back of my head for a couple of years, and I never thought to ask until recently. And I asked, and I'm thrilled that I asked. I just, you know, ask. It's really simple. The worst they can say is no. But when you do ask, you've planted that seed.
Absolutely.
Is Tracy Browning on the call? Because I believe she hit annual mentor, and if she on the call, I would love to hear a tip from her.
Yeah, Tracy, do you have a couple tips for us? Can she unmute herself, or do you have to do it?
Mute yourself.
There you go.
I unmuted. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Hey, Tracy.
Hey, y'all. Thank you very much. I basically do everything that you guys have mentioned. I simply ask everybody. I no longer have any problems with asking people. If somebody's giving me an order, I ask them if they just want to, like if somebody gives me a $60 order, I ask them if they want to put $40 more with it and become part of the business and let that be their first order. I always ask my host, if a customer gives me more than 3 orders, then I ask them to just join. And something that I started doing recently is, you know, we always talk about flipping your host to become your new team member. A lot of people, and of course that doesn't happen every time. If you ask your host to flip and join your team and she declines, that's perfectly fine, but what about everybody else that was at that party? You could gift that party to one of the guests, let that be their launch party, and that actually sets them up even better because they haven't even tapped into their own friends and family yet. So if your host says no to flipping, don't stop there because you already have however many guests showed up for that party. Even if it's a basket party or a pouch party and you're not face-to-face with people, I always contact every customer that came to me on that paper order just to confirm their order, maybe to tell them I can bundle their order better to save them money. And so when I'm talking to them, I tell them, you know what, my host was not interested in joining my team, but her party happened to be $300. If you're interested in joining, I will gift you this party and you can turn it in yourself, let it be your launch party, and then you can always, you know, just don't stop at the host. If the host isn't interested in flipping, try to flip the guest, and you never know who would want to join. So that's just another little tidbit that I do.
That's awesome, Tracy.
I think also when Rebecca does a good game at her parties and she has them fill out a form, the questions on the form is, who do you think would be, what's the question, Rebecca? I don't want to screw this up.
Let me get it. And so this can be on paper too, and I can share the questions. Who in this room would be a fantastic Scentsy consultant? And then in parentheses it says, P.S. you can choose yourself if you like. And there's also, what did you like most about this party? are you ready to take home information on earning great money as a Scentsy consultant? And it has a 1 through 10. So that's a good indicator. If somebody circles a 5, you may not even realize it, but I pass out my card, my customer information card at the beginning of the party, and I take them up before I check everybody out, before I get their totals. So I'm looking at their card and I can have that conversation with them right then.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a warm market. Like they're the ones that circled it. They could have circled a 1 if they circled a 5, or anything above a 1, I'm going to talk about it.
Right.
Awesome ideas. I had never even thought, Tracy, of asking not just the host, but the other people at the party. And it's so simple. So thank you.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people associate flipping the host to keeping it limited to the host. So if the host says no, then you're like, okay, well then at least I get the PRV for this party still. Well, there's still options there. There's still opportunity. So just keep asking every guest, and then hopefully somebody will say yes. And then, like I said, you've already set them up for huge success because they have that qualifying party already, and then they haven't even tapped into their own contacts yet. So it's just a good idea to try.
Absolutely.
That's a huge aha moment for me. Thank you for sharing that, Tracy.
You are welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Awesome. And then the one I know Christy said, just ask. And I know people constantly ask me, okay, so how do you grow your team? How do you sponsor new people? And really the best answer is just ask. As frustrating as that is, I've actually had people that I knew that I didn't ask end up joining under someone else because I never asked them. So just remember, I mean, the most important thing is that a no never killed anybody. And if somebody says no, it may not be forever, but just for right now. So those are planting spring seeds. Let's move on to customer retention. And I know that we're spending a really long time on this slide, but this is really the meat of what we're talking about tonight. And then we're going to move into some other small pointers. So if you feel like we're hanging here forever, we're not going to keep you guys all night long. But customer retention really has the most to do with follow-up. And we talked about follow-up with hosts. We talked about follow-up with planting seeds and with sponsoring and with growing your team. And I can tell you guys, even though I've been doing Scentsy for 8.5 years, it took me the first 5-6 years of business to realize that I really need to keep good track and I really need to follow up with people. I thought in the beginning of my business that if I had great customer service and I treated them really well, that they would automatically come back to me for more Scentsy because I was awesome. Unfortunately, that's not true. So you have to have some sort of system. So we want to share a couple of systems with you tonight. Now, the most important thing about all of these systems, even though they're different, is the fact that you have to have some sort of system. So figure out what works for you, whether it's organized or not, whether it's on paper, whether it's on your computer, whether it's in your head, or whether it's in sticky notes all over your walls. However you want to do it, be sure you have some sort of system to follow up. And not only are there a million different systems, there are also a million different ways to follow up with people. It'll keep your business fresh. It'll keep your customers attached to you. And you will absolutely amaze yourself at how many reorders you'll get. The one important thing to remember about follow-up is the fact that think about a time when you went to another party, say for another company, and you bought a product, you loved it, either it wore out or you ran out of it. How many times out of those parties or out of those products that you bought did you actually pick up the phone and call and reorder that product? For me, it's absolutely zero. Even though I loved it, even though I may have wanted more, I never picked up the phone and called the consultant. Now, if she had called me, I probably would have ordered again. So just something to think about. As far as follow-up system, I have not heard about Christie's, so I definitely want to hear what she uses. And I know Rebecca has an awesome binder that she wants to share with us. And I don't know, do you want to show your screen so that we can see your stuff, Rebecca?
Okay, so I am going to, and it's funny you say that because you know who got me started on this follow-up system is Christy Howard. Oh. And we adapted it from, let's see. We adapted it from Did that pause the share? Are we big again?
I can see the
I still see the screen.
Okay. I can't talk and figure that. Okay, did that stop the share?
Nope.
Nope. All right.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Yay.
All right. So,
So pretty.
yay. I never said I was a technical genius. Christy actually, is it Jessica Villarreal? Yeah. So it's basically, it's an adaptation of her follow-up system. So we have this little 6x9 binder. Thank you, Christy, because she's like, hey, I did this and you need it too. Because we had already been talking about how we were going to follow up. One thing I added to mine, and she has a really great, I'm not going to tell you how to do it just because you can, I can post the link to the training that we developed this from, but I will tell you what I did different is I purchased the little cover things, what are they called?
Page protectors?
The page protectors. And at the top of the page protector, or the inside, I'm gonna pull this one out. I write the name like right up there. And I have a 6x9 filing box that I file them in, and they're on their side so that I can flip through if I'm looking for somebody. What I like about this is I can put all of their orders together in that sleeve. And if that sleeve fills up, then I can start another sleeve and staple it to it. That way all their orders stay together. So when somebody, in fact, this just happened, somebody's like, do you remember what scent I ordered last time? I can't remember the name of it, but I loved it. And I was able to go right to it and look at it and tell her what scent it was. And, you know, she's like, yep, that's it. That's the one. So for me, I'm in Excel all day long at work, and I don't want, you know, other than tracking my expenses, I don't want to deal with Excel here in my Scentsy business. You know, I enter the information in the Scentsy website, the workstation, but I'm kind of an old school girl when it comes to even my calendar. I like a manual, like a paper calendar, and I love, love, love this follow-up system. So once you, there's a place in front of the binder to have orders that you need to place. There's a place for everything that's ordered that you're waiting to come in. And then there's a delivery, a 1 week follow-up, a 1 month follow-up, a 2 month follow-up. So when you follow up, if they aren't ready to order yet, you just move them into the next slot, right? So you'll follow up with them again in another month. So I kind of always keeps them fresh in your mind. And it really makes you, I mean, you get a lot of orders. My business, my sales have improved now that I've started following up, and I'm not waiting for people to contact me. Because like Aspen said, you know, if somebody calls me because they know that I should be just about out of product, that's one less thing I have to remember to do. If it's a favor to me, you know, like my makeup gal, she'll say, hey, how you doing? You need some more? And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I've been meaning to call you, and I just, you know, life gets in the way. And when you're the customer, it's not your job to contact the consultant. It's the consultant's job to follow up with you, and that's what the customer service is about. And that's what sets us apart from Walmart and Target or wherever else you can buy wax cubes, right? So I'll post the link in, if you're on my team, on our team pages, to Jessica's training on how to put together the binder, and I'll also post it in the DFW group. Yeah, that's it. Christy, you do the same thing.
We're supposed to follow up? No.
Uh-huh.
Now, another great system too is sometimes I find that if you put everybody into our workstation, you can follow up that way as well. So you can go to either the party that they were at, you can click on that party if you've put everybody in as an individual guest, and that's sometimes I don't package my parties as much as I used to, because I can keep track of better of what people ordered. You can also search their names. So let's say, you know, Miriam ordered from me from 2 different parties. I can search Miriam and it will pop up each party that she was at and her orders. So our workstation actually is another great resource for you. As long as you're putting your orders in individually, that's a great way for you guys to follow up. I know that people say fortune is in the follow-up, and that is one area I know I could get better at. And it's just, you know, you're doing a service. You're doing your job, basically, is making sure that they understand how to use the product too. I think that's, I have a customer that I followed up with that did a party with me in February, and I'm like, all right, diffuser. She's like, oh, I haven't plugged it in yet. I couldn't find the plug. And I can't tell you how many people can't find the plug to the diffuser because it's inside the teardrop. Oh. And I've got a broken one, so I just didn't even mess with it. And I mean, at first I was like, oh, you should have called me. Well, no, I should have called you to make sure that you know how to properly use. So after like 4 or 5 days, when you sell a system, whether it's a warmer, a plug-in, or a diffuser, or washer with something that's new and a little bit different, you always just want to, and that's just an easy, hey, just want to make sure everything's working correctly. It's not a sales call. And that's what you need to get out of your mind. Your first call back is not a sales call. It is a welfare call. You want to make sure that everything is okay. And that makes you a better customer service representative, better at customer service. It's not a bother.
Along those lines, I don't know if everybody knew, but technically Scentsy has a policy that says that after 10 days from the day that the customer received the shipment, if for some reason that product is damaged or broken, they can no longer file a UPS claim. So that's why I tell my customers they need to open their box and make sure nothing is broken, because after that 10 days, they can't do anything with UPS, and it may have been UPS's fault. So my follow-up is actually 2/10/2. So I know that I'm contacting them at least by that 10th business day to make sure they've opened the box, taken it out, because if there is a shipment issue, you can call Scentsy and get it covered if it was actually damaged when it was shipped. So that's kind of good to know.
That's I did not know that, Miriam.
Yeah, good pointer.
Info.
Awesome. So, and I'll show you guys really quick. So this is my follow-up system. And you guys have not you haven't been to my office. I'm not an organized person. So to have these papers is like, it's a total epiphany for me. But I can tell you this. So I started my follow-up. I only started following up with my customers, and I'm always completely honest with you guys. So out of 8.5 years, I have been following up with customers for about 2 years. And because I didn't know what I was doing, right? I'm just like winging this thing. Everybody's going to come back and order from me, right? Because I'm awesome. Well, it didn't work that way. So I started my business in California. I now have 0 customers from California. I was there for almost 2 years of my business. No customers because I never followed up with any of them. While I was there, it was great. But once I moved, I kept none of them. Then I was in Colorado, North Carolina, and then Texas. I have lots of customers from Colorado and Texas because I've been there within the last 2 years, and I learned I've got to follow up. So what I started off by doing is just mailing out a catalog twice a year when it changed. And those were to my loyal customers who I'd gotten information from. So if you're going to follow up, you have to have some sort of information to contact them, right? This is another one of those things that we feel weird about. Like, they'll give us the order form with their first name on it. And I used to be like, oh, I'm not going to ask her for her address or her phone number. That would be weird, right? You feel like you're some sort of salesperson. Let me get your information. But you have to in order to run this business. And people are used to that. How many times do we go to a place and they say, oh, can you fill in your email or your phone number? Some sort of contact information so that you can follow up with them is so important. Since I started out mailing 2 catalogs a year, that's all I did for maybe the first year. That was all I did in follow-up. My online orders since I've moved have grown and grown. And I can tell you, since I sent out my spring catalog this year, my April has actually been my biggest online sales month ever, just because they had a catalog in their hand. I did right at $500 in just PWS sales this month alone. So just because I sent out a catalog. And so I can show you guys what I do. So this is I I printed off, this is my newest one, but this is just straight from my workstation, and then I export to Excel. So what I'll do is I'll click, like you could click the button for the date that they ordered, and it'll put it in order. So like, these are my last 100 people that ordered from my website or ordered from me. And so I will take, okay, how many catalogs do I want to send out? How much do I want to invest in this mailer? So you can usually figure, if you're doing it in a thicker envelope with some samples and stuff, it's going to cost you a little over $2 to mail a catalog. Unless you can get it super thin and they can still fit it through that slot, they're going to charge you as a package. So you have to remember that, especially when mailing catalogs. If you don't want to drop that much, get a product sheet, mail it that way. People love to still have something in their hand to look at. I know that online shopping is big, but there's still a lot of old school people out there like me that want a paper catalog so I can circle it, so that I can look at it and check off the scents that I love. It still happens. So I mailed those out, and you guys can see here. Let me see if I can. I don't know if you can see that, and I won't show you like my customer names or anything, but you can see there's dates on there. Where's that? So you can see the dates, and it'll show you like last purchase. So it goes all the way down, and there's all of this year. And so for a follow-up from my catalogs, today I just prepared a, now I do like warmer of the month flyer. So I'll do a sample and a warmer of the month. So now they're not only getting a catalog twice a year, they're getting a sample and a warmer of the month brochure. So I'm hoping to continue to grow and grow and grow. So if you don't have a follow-up system at all, start small. I know, and it's not overwhelming for everyone. I'm sure like it is me, because I'm like, okay, I have 0 time. How am I going to add something else in? Do what you can and remember how important it is. And once you start seeing the results, you're like, okay, so worth my time to take a couple hours each month and follow up, whether it's with a call, whether it's with snail mail, an email, whatever it is. But remember how important it is to make it yours and make it personal. Because when someone thinks of Scentsy, you want them to automatically think of you. And if they do that, that's how you get them to return to you to purchase again and again and again. If they think of Scentsy and they think, oh, I'll jump on Scentsy.com, you need to work harder on your follow-up. So that's my system. Really, you guys, I just print it straight from my workstation. I also have an active list of the people local and the people who call me. So I'll keep that on. I'll show you guys how I keep track, and it's nothing technical at all. So every time I do a mailer, I print out labels, right? And I'll add in my new customers. And so I print doubles. And so I have that for next time. And so next time I just add to it because I've already got it, and I'll print doubles of the next one. So it just continues to grow and grow every time I do a big mailer. And then I'll take off, like if I haven't heard from people for a couple years, I'll take them out. But I'll still, every once in a while, throw them back in. Say I have an extra mailer. Like today when I did my warmer of the month, I had a couple extra samples. So I'm like, oh, who can I pick that I haven't heard from for longer than 6 months? And I just threw them in there because you never know. So we have all these great promotions that Scentsy gives us. Those are meant for follow-up. Those are reasons to contact people. If you're talking about follow-up and you're like, I don't really know what to say, all you got to do is look at the news tab. I mean, there's always something to talk about when you're following up with people. So I could go on forever on follow-up, but I won't.
It's a lot less expensive, and it's a lot easier to keep your customers than having to find new customers over and over again. And so why don't you invest in spoiling and keeping your customers, because they're going to refer you out to their friends and family, and they're going to help you grow your business that way. And it's a lot easier to do that. The other thing that I've gotten in the practice of in this day and age, I hate picking up the phone and calling people because I'm like, I never know what they're doing. I hate being called by somebody. So I always ask what their preferred method of follow-up. And I'll tell them, I want to follow up, make sure you have everything. So text, email, snail mail, phone call, and I really tried to get what works best for them. So they might say, oh, I love texting, do that. Facebook Messenger is great too. I follow up with a lot of my customers on Facebook Messenger, and they'll pop on, and I find that my interaction with them is a lot more with that. But you also want to make sure that your follow-up is not just posting a product on Facebook and saying, hey, look, I have catalogs. Do you want one? That's not follow-up, guys. That's mass solicitation. You might as well put them in a group with some lipsticks in there. But I do it. I'll post on Facebook, but that's not what I rely on. So you just want to make sure, ask them what their preferred method of contact is.
Absolutely. And I mean, we have to remember that, and it's something that I didn't know for a really long time. If you want your business to be successful, you have to actually run it like a business. And for those of us who, when you started, I mean, you really don't have a clue, look to other people, ask them what they're doing and do it. Even if it's just a small thing, every once in a while that you're adding on, do it that way because it's so, so important. You cannot wait until the last week of the month and post, I'm putting in a Scentsy order, and that's how you run your business. It's not going to get you where you want to go by doing it that way. So we'll head back to the screen if you can, Rebecca.
Yep. I don't know, I'm technically challenged here.
Well, that makes two of us, so there's no shame in your game.
There we go.
See, there it is. And we actually made it to the next slide. I always forget when we get to talking to each other, how long it takes. So we're going to cruise through these next slides.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay, it looks funky to me. Is it just
Yeah,
me?
we got like half a screen.
Half a screen. Okay.
It's like the first intro screen, I think.
Is it? All right. Let me stop and start again.
It was the right slide. It was just really big.
Just like
It looks like it's zoomed in.
there it is.
There, okay. So with all the tips and ideas that we've given you, we're just going to talk about summer coming and how to prepare more mentally and more like calendar wise and time wise. So the first thing I want to say to you guys is that everyone is busy. So stop using that as an excuse and stop letting other people use that as their excuse, because seriously, everyone's busy all of the time. It's either a lifestyle or you own it. So you have to learn how to have flexibility in your business. So yes, you're busy, and yes, everyone else is busy, and sometimes even more so in the summer. So how are you going to adapt so that your business is successful? So I'll share a couple of ideas with you that I do, and then throw it over to Christy and Rebecca so they can share a couple ideas as well. And so as far as flexibility, there's so many ideas and so many ways to take your business with you. And my kids are out of school for the summer. I have a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old. And I some days feel like for me to get work done when they're home, it's like I might as well, it's insane. Like, it's ridiculous. So we work our days usually on a task reward system. I say, Mom has to do this, and until it's done, we don't go to the pool. And you will not believe how quiet they can be until I'm done. Or they can pitch in and help. So don't be afraid to get your family to help you out, because if they want to do something fun too, they're going to help you get done what you need to. Be quiet so you can do what you need to while you're following up or while you're doing a booking or putting an order together. They're going to help you out with those things. Not only that, but as far as flexibility goes and busyness, take your business with you. If you're going to the pool, take your testers with you. Do what you need to do to make it work. Include your business in all that you do. And a great way to grow is learn to continuously ask people what they do. Because when you ask people what they do and allow them to talk about themselves and share about themselves, they're going to ask you what you do. And that gives you your intro to say, oh my gosh, I do Scentsy. Have you heard of it? So make that part of your summertime conversations, no matter where you go. So I'll throw it over to you guys. What kind of stuff do you have when you are busy? How do you work your business?
Am I going first again? Okay. And look, she's sitting on the couch. So I'm going to go. All right. So I have 40 to 50 hours a week that I am not in control of, right? Because I work full time alongside my Scentsy business. So I really have to get creative with, the things that I do. And sometimes it's just working smarter, not harder. For me, I used to spend all this time making samples and putting them in baggies and printing labels and all that stuff. And now, like, this is just one little example. I started making my samples, putting them in a little jar, and I have several different scents. And you know what? I take those to parties. They're small enough that I can take to parties. Or if I have a customer that comes here for pickup, I'll bring them out and let them pick a sample there. That's one little shortcut. Another thing, I let my Scentsy business buy me somebody that would come once a week and do my laundry and clean my house. Once a week, they come do all my laundry, they clean my house, they do it on Thursdays so that when the weekend gets here, you know, I can do what I need to do for not only my business, but also my free time, you know, the time that I get to spend with my family or my friends, my social life. It stinks when when you aren't able to do that. Now, if you can't afford to to hire somebody and you have children that know how to work a washer and dryer, I suggest you pay them a little. You can pay them in Scentsy, or you can pay them, just a little extra allowance to take on that responsibility for you, because they can wash dishes, they can dust. There's all kinds of things that they can do, or maybe you can get an assistant. Like I know Christy has an assistant that does all kinds of things for her. If you have a customer that loves Scentsy, but she doesn't have, the money, as much money as she'd like to have Scentsy, then, hey, I pay in Scentsy product. Can you come help me once a week or once a month or whatever it is? And, that's priming the well to get them to eventually start their own business, right? So those are just some tips in being flexible with your business.
I think that it's funny. I'm reading a really good book right now. I should say Christine Manning and I are both reading a really good book right now. And one thing that she said today that's really funny is we sometimes in our mind hype up how busy we are and tell ourselves how busy we are. And the example that she used was, I've got 1 million emails to return. I've got a bank loan that I have to fill out paperwork for. I've got to pick up the kids. I've got to do this. And she said, sometimes we psych ourselves up to the point where we are so busy, when in reality, there's 12 emails there, not 1 million. It's going to take 45 minutes to answer all of them. You ask a neighbor for some help with the kids, picking them up from school. That allows you some time to, work on your loan paper, and making dinner, you can probably do that in 45 minutes. So your whole, oh my gosh, I don't have enough time, just turned into about an hour and 20 minutes of actual, or an hour and a half of actual work. And sometimes I think that we psych ourselves up and we spend more time worrying about how busy we are than actually just getting stuff done. I think the other important thing is to know when are you most productive? I am most productive in my business between 1 in the afternoon and 5:30, 6 o'clock when my husband gets home. I can sit down and really drill into my business. In the morning, I will be dead honest. In the morning, I am Facebooking before I get out of bed. I'm catching up on all 3 games that I like to play because they're my stress reliever. I do those in the morning and at night. I catch up on my light levels. Admit it, you guys out there, come on. And, I'm hanging out with my dogs. I'm talking to my friends. That's kind of like my goof off time. But in the afternoon, I drill down and I will solid hardcore for several hours. And it's amazing how much I can get done in that time. So I think sometimes just psyching yourself out, if it's important to you, you'll find the time. If it's not important to you, you'll find an excuse. And I think you feel better when you are productive. And it's kind of like an endorphin that you get. So just, don't stress out about it. Just do it.
Absolutely. Such good ideas.
That reminds me of one more thing. I was listening they did this Saturday, I forget what it was called, but Allison Dalkey did this Saturday. It was a day of Facebook Lives, and it was in this group, and everybody was invited to come do it. But I was listening in as I could throughout the day, and I heard, and I can't even remember, I'm horrible, I can't remember who shared this idea, but it never occurred to me to do it, and it was schedule a delivery day. I have always been one, my product comes in, I'm on, hey, when can we meet up, or when can I come out, and everybody's schedule is so different. You have customers that work nights, you have customers that, go work out of town a lot. So trying to match my limited time to their schedule kind of stinks, right? So this is what they tell their customer. Hey, my next delivery day is Saturday between the hours of da-da-da and da-da-da. I can deliver then, or if you want it before then, you're more than welcome to stop by any evening between these hours, you know? And it was like, what? I've never even thought of doing that. I still will probably feel a little weird doing it the first time, but I plan to implement that because, you know, life is short and my free time is shorter, and I have to be able to work smart and do several deliveries in one, you know, in a couple hours on a Saturday versus, you know, several evenings when I have such limited time anyway. So for me, it was an aha moment.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, like I said earlier, everyone is so busy, and it's just being aware, I think, is one of the most important things. This business is hard. There's a reason that when we say when I say my full-time job is Scentsy, people laugh at me because there's not very many people who are successful in direct sales. And the reason for that is the fact that it's hard. It's hard to be your own boss. It's hard to manage your time. As humans, we would rather not, right? So in order to continue and grow and move forward, you have to know how to reward yourself, how to work the system so that you're successful with your time. So have flexibility. And just like a follow-up system, you have to figure out what works for you, whether it's scheduling 2 hours a day in a time that works, like Christy, whether it's knowing how to be efficient, like Rebecca was talking about, whatever it is, be sure that you know what that is and that you are mindful of whatever your situation is, because that's what's going to make it work best. So the next slide. No shame in my game. So as Scentsy consultants, and I talked about this earlier, when people think of Scentsy, you want them to think of you. So I have pool noodles and testers on here, and I mentioned this earlier. Remember during the summertime, because we're out and about so much versus the winter where we're home and we're on our computer, because we go to picnics and barbecues and friends' houses and we're out on the street. I mean, if you guys live in a neighborhood like mine, sometimes you're even standing in the driveway for an hour talking to friends or neighbors, or in the backyard. Take those testers with you. Carry them like you carry your purse or your wallet. Make sure you take your Scentsy with you, because if you do, and you can include it in all that you do, you will become the quote-unquote Scentsy lady, and everyone will know you for Scentsy. And when they think of Scentsy, they'll think of you. So when it comes to growing your business, there's a couple other points that we wanted to talk about really quick. And it's just when you gift and when you give samples, it's one of the very best ways you can grow your business, no matter how big or small the gift is. And we have a lot of opportunities coming up within the next few months where Scentsy can be used as gifts, and with proper follow-up can turn into summer customers. So, I mean, we've got Mother's Day, we've got Father's Day, graduation, we've got teacher gifts for the end of the year. What else am I missing, guys? There's a ton of opportunity, and again, reasons to contact your current customers and reasons to talk to new people, but also expand by suggesting gifts or even giving gifts yourself to all these different causes.
Ditto. Well
I
said.
agree. And so when you're also speaking of samples, this time of year is when things here in Texas at least starts to melt. So I do less wax samples during the summer months, or if I do, I'll use the felt, even though they're not my favorite because they can't really use them. But there's other products that we have that do not melt, like our washer whips. And for the first time ever, I recently started doing the liquid samples for our Scentsy Fresh Counter Clean. Since I've started doing that, as well as demonstrating those at home parties, my clean sales have gone through the roof. So it's getting people hooked on those products that, you know, it's just another thing like wax. It's something that they're going to like because the more they use the counter clean, the easier it is to clean, right? Because it has that barrier. And then if you have pets, you've got to have Scentsy Fresh. I mean, I have 3 dogs in the house. One of them doesn't quite count for a dog because she's like tiny, but the other 2 make up for it. But they're dog beds. I spray their dog beds. I spray my couches. You know, if you have friends that have pets, they need Scentsy Fresh in their life. So it's sampling those things instead of the wax, and it's introducing new products to your customers that you can follow up with them and say, how did you like your sample? I think the bottle is a 20 milliliter bottle, and I put about 8 milliliters worth of product in it. And there's 473 milliliters in one bottle of Scentsy Fresh or Scentsy Counter Clean, so you have plenty, and they make really nice size.
That's awesome. It's just expanding from, I mean, you have the people that, if you have people that love wax and warmers, why not introduce more of what we have and get them to expand their base? Because if you, and you guys know, if you use laundry products, once you use laundry products, you're not going to want to use anything else, just like our wax and warmers. So it's getting them to try it. One thing I wanted to say really quick on I had the sample machine on the last slide. You don't have to flip back. That's fine. Again, back to the follow-up. So for the longest time, I had all of these samples that I was giving out to people or leaving places all of the time, and they were doing me no good because I had no way to follow up. So now I do a monthly drawing, and everyone who gets a sample also gets to fill out a drawing slip, and they're willing to because they're also entering a drawing. But then I have contact information. I automatically enter them so that they get my newsletter. Just make sure there's a way to follow up with everything you throw out there. You cannot have a parade mentality where you're running down the street tossing wax and washer whiffs and no way to follow up. Otherwise, you're just throwing product away. You have to have a way to follow up with those samples you get out there. Yes, the first couple times it's going to be awkward, but be sure that you are getting people's information. They're not going to hate you for it. They're going to give it to you gladly because you're giving them something for free. Did I keep interrupting somebody? Was somebody else trying to say something?
No.
Okay. All right. So we've been talking about how to build up to summer, and just want to remind you guys that when you build now, you're also building for tomorrow. So everything that we've been talking about, it's not going to happen miraculously. You have to climb. You have to climb each and every day. If we want to get to the top of the mountain, you're not going to jump from the bottom. You have to keep track of where you want to go. You have to know how to get there. So you have to build up to greatness. You have to have a climb the mountain mentality in everything that you do. So keep track of your customers, keep track of your samples, keep track of the people you talk to. If you can keep track of everything, continue to follow up over the next, over May and June, you'll build up to July and August. And by the time September and October gets here, you won't feel like you're still sitting at the bottom of the mountain looking at the top, because you're going to have a list in front of you. You're not going to say, I have no orders coming in and I don't know what to do, because you're going to have built that list up. So if you're sitting at a point now where you're, okay, the month is almost over, I have nothing booked for May, what am I going to do? You have to start somewhere, and you have to be able to remember this. And the fact is, it doesn't get easy. It's never going to get easy. It can be simpler, but it takes work. So the question is, how many no's are you willing to hear? How many times are you willing to hear someone say, that's not a real job? How many times are you willing to talk to someone that says, oh, I don't like home parties, or I don't really like fragrance? I've had people say that to me for real. Or I don't like things that smell. And so how many times are you willing to hear those things and continue to persevere? And if you want to be successful at this business, the answer has to be over and over and over again. So also think about how much time you want to invest. Because I said earlier, there's not going to be some miraculous booking frenzy where people are going to be knocking on your door to book parties in May. You have to know that in order to book a party, you're going to have to invest some time. In order to grow a team, you're going to have to ask. And as stupid as it sounds and simple as it is, Yes, you just have to ask. You're going to hear no. People are going to snicker at you. They're going to roll their eyes at you. They're going to think you're crazy. But if you're willing to get past those people, there's always going to be somebody there that's like, absolutely, I want free product. Or I've been thinking about joining Scentsy. I'm glad you asked. And it may take a while to get to that person, but I can guarantee you, if you continue to ask, eventually somebody's going to say yes. And you're going to get better at it. You're going to be able to fine tune your intuition on how to talk to different people, but you're not going to do that unless you start somewhere. So it's all about time, you guys. It's all about what you put into it. Somebody said to me once after, I think it was after like a spring sprint, world tour, world premiere, whatever we're calling it now, event, that no one talked to them and they were really disappointed. And I can tell you guys that statement has stuck with me for quite a while. And the reason is because it's just like this business. We can either be disappointed at the end of the day that it didn't work out or that we didn't reach our goals, or we can decide to make it work. So if that same person had talked to people would have talked to her. So don't wait for someone to help you make this work. Never rely on, okay, let me preface this by saying there are some amazing sponsors out there, but it's your job to make your business work. It's your job to stick your foot in the door. It's your job to open the window if the door is stuck. You have to decide to make this work for you and spend as much time in it as you can to make it happen. And if you are going to have a successful summer, you have to be able to focus on your business and manage your time. So start thinking about it now. Start knowing that if you do that, you're going to get to this fall and the incentive earning trip period, and you're going to rock it, because if you can rock summer, fall's going to be a breeze. That's about all I have. Let's see, we have a few reminders. So since I've been talking for a while, I'll let you guys go over the reminders and stuff on the next slide.
Okay, and I do have one more tiny little tip when it comes to, if you don't have any parties booked, know that sometimes we have a carrot to dangle, right? We have that perpetual party reward. So one way that you can reach out, if you have a VIP page or something like that, just say, I have an amazing deal right now for the first 5 people that private messages me or likes this post, or however you want to do it. And once you do that, you can private message them and just say, hey, pick a number between I think I did it between 10 and 25. And they do. And what I always do is say, okay, if you would like to get some friends over for a little get together between now and May 15th, and we schedule a date for you, you can pick any item, like say they picked 25. I'm going to double that number, and you can pick a $50 item that you get for half price. And so you're just using your booking reward. You're spending $25 out of your pocket. But to me, if you've got $25 out of your pocket that you've spent on a $50 thing, and you are getting new contacts, and you've got 5 or 6 more people that you can add to your contact list, and for a party, and you've got a new party during the summer, and like she said, parties build upon parties. It's easier to book a party at a party than when you don't have any at all. That's just keeping your business rolling. So don't be afraid to dangle the carrot. So reminder.
Tax write-off.
Tax write-off, that's right. You spend that $25, that's tax write-off. And trust me, the more money you make, the more tax write-offs you need. I had to pay taxes this year, and I was like, I didn't give away enough stuff, and I didn't donate to enough charities. So next year, guess what? I'm up in that game. So
quick reminders that are up there. Scentsy Family Reunion, they extended it through April 30th. If you have not registered, I can't encourage you enough to go. It'll be life-changing. Bring back my bars, the list, they've added 5 extra. The list is out in your workstation, so go hunt for that. Bricks.
These are 5 scents that I haven't even smelled before. I'm really excited.
Excited for those. bricks. Oh my gosh, bricks. I cannot talk enough about sea salt and avocado. I ordered 5 of them for myself today. I absolutely love that. So really, bricks have built my business this month. And also the Mother's Day bundles. There's some great bundles out there. So you want to make sure that you're reaching out to anybody that's a mom, or better than that, reach out to husbands reach out to the husbands, get them off the hook and surprise them that way. And also our beloved Forget-Me-Not warmer is sold out. So Forget-Me-Not is no longer available. So I think those are our reminders for the night.
I had one other thing that I had thought of that we didn't get on there, and that was Shining Star nomination stuff. And so I always kind of dread talking about this because I never want anyone to think I'm running some sort of Shining Star campaign. But at the same time, like, I think like every single year I put a ton of thought into who I'm going to nominate and how important this award is to the business. So really quick, for those of you who don't know what it is, every year Scentsy gives the Shining Star, which is now the Shining Star, or Alice, say the last name for me, somebody, because I always mess it up. Column.
I can't pronounce it either.
Christy, you know it?
Yeah. Heidi's mom, Alice.
So it's Heidi's mom, Alice. They have renamed the Shining Star Award after her. And so they give one person in the entire company the award. And it's a person who exemplifies what Scentsy is. So is authentic and generous, and has simplicity in their life and in their business, and shows leadership qualities and skills. And even just thinking about the people who have been awarded Shining Star. Do you guys get as weird about this as I do? Like, I just think it's such a great award. And so I wanted just to remind you guys to take the time. The form is actually, there's a link to it on the news tab right now. It's also in the business resources. Take 10 minutes to nominate someone for Shining Star Award, whether it's someone in your downline, your upline, your sideline, even someone that you know on social media that just really inspires you by their business and all they do, and something throughout the year that they've done for you. Take some time, because it's super important. And one thing that I learned, that I actually heard directly from, I think it was Orville who said it, the letters we write or the forms we fill out are very, very important. So if you're going to take the time to do it, make sure that you put your heart into it, because sometimes those words that you put on that form are all they're going to know of that person, because it's so impossible for them to know everyone in this company. In order for that person to get nominated, you got to make it good. So I always put a lot of thought into it, and I really just try and put my heart out there for whomever I'm nominating. And I actually had a couple of people actually get nominated who I've nominated before, but then sometimes I nominate someone who doesn't get mentioned at all. And that's okay too, because they're still my Shining Star. So that was my little plug on Shining Star. Take some time. It's important.
Excellent. Well said. Well, thank you guys. It was great to see so many new faces this month, and it's really inspiring. And I know I always get a big boost, especially the couple days after this call. So any other questions that we might have? Anybody pop-up questions? Rebecca, if not, I think we should, hi Harper Lulu, I think we should
respect everybody's time.
Yeah,
we tried to keep it to an hour. We're about 10 minutes over. Thank you guys for sticking with us and for coming on. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. No questions?
And we're always here if you guys need us, call or not. You know, it doesn't have to be on the call. You can always reach out to any of us, and we're always here to help. So
yeah,
you're not just alone.
All right, everybody have a good Wednesday and make the end of your month count. Bye.
Definitely. Bye, guys.